In this video I'm going to show you how a worm gear works. Basically, the worm gear is this gear here, and this is the gear that it works against. So one turn of the worm gear generates only a slight rotation of the bottom gear, so it's a 10-to-1 ratio between what the outside. So again, this is a very powerful conversion, but it's also slow. So one turn of this shaft here results in 1/10 of a turn of the arm there. So if you want to move something really fast, so an example of a use for this is if you wanted to lift something way out here, this would be a good way. It also rotates 90 degrees to the direction of the arm. This arm rotates 90 degrees relative. So these are the key parts to a worm gear. The worm and the gear go together like this inside this special casing, and these bearings are used to make it easy to rotate. Okay, we'll assemble it by putting these two bearings in at cross pieces. So it should look like that. Put this gear in, which just barely fits between the two, but it will fit. Put this shaft through the assembly here of the worm gear. And then tight. So this shaft is put in this 90 degrees and one hole down. This special shaft can be inserted. It's hard to do with my fingers, so I'm going to use a pair of pliers here to insert this in between the two bearings. Just barely fits. Once you have it close, put this shaft in place and rotate it until the deep part of the shaft meets up with the set screws. And tighten the set screws, and then you have a worm gear arm controlled by a worm gear. One turn of the control shaft is 1/10 of a turn of the big shaft, so it takes 10 revolutions. This gear won't go backwards, so it's locked in, will not move unless this shaft is turning. And, so you can kind of set it and forget it. If you had an angle that you wanted to set it at, rotate it up, and you can shut the motor off because this shaft will not move more than whatever the slippage in the gears is. And that's a worm gear and how a worm gear works.